Hey guys, this is Locke. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about the Cypress pile and why I strongly recommend everyone at least build one of these. First in this video, I'm going to talk about how damage calculations work, what that plus 15 magic attack on other rods mean, and why I think the special effect of the Cypress rod, which is the magic penetration, is, in my opinion, better in most cases than the plus 15 magic attack up. So first of all, I'm going to use an example. So I'm going to look at Black Rose Helena, and I'm going to tell you what the magic attack 15 would do on her. So I'm going to first take one of her skills. Let's look at the dark skill. Let's assume that the dark skill has a modifier of 100%. It's actually not 100%, it's different, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just assume it's 100%. And let's also assume the modifier on her limit burst is 200%. Just for reference, like everything, all her skills have different modifiers. Like for example, I believe Black Rose Judgment has a modifier of 185% or something like that. Some of them have a modifiers of 220%. But just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to only look at two skills right now, which is Dark and the Tenebral Rose, her limit burst, and we're going to assume that the first skill had a 100% modifier and the second skill has a 200% modifier. So if you look at the weapon that we're equipping on her, I'm using this weapon because I actually do not have a +5 platinum rod or a +5 magistral rod built up. I have a +3 one that's level 1, and I have a +0 dodge platinum rod, I guess. So I'm just going to use this rod that I have, which is I'm not going to bother saying it, but basically it gives you light attack, lightning attack, and magic attack. And since Helena is a dark type unit, she only gets the benefit of +15 magic attack. So obviously she also gets 150 magic, but I'm going to ignore that fact for now, and I'm just going to talk about the magic attack +15 right now. So what that does is, we said that her dark skill has a modifier of 100%. That is now going to increase to 115%. So that is basically a direct increase of 15% of damage, which is great. However, if you look at the second skill, the Tenebral Rose, which we said had a modifier of 200%, that actually goes up to 215%, which is not a 15% increase, it's only a 7.5% increase. I hope you can tell where I'm going with this. Basically, the higher that modifier is, the lower the overall increase from that +15 magic attack. That's just how it works. It increases the modifier of each of the skills, and this is additive to other things that are going to increase the modifier. So for example, if I put Trousseau on Black Rose Helena and I put the Bahamut Esper, so let's just take a look to see what are the nodes that I have on Bahamut Esper, just to make sure I am not saying anything. So I have the 25 man-eater here. I don't have the magic attack. Okay, so the Bahamut Esper is going to give 25 man-eater, and the Trousseau is going to give 35 magic attack, which is basically increases it by an additional 60. So if we now look at the skills again, so Dark starts at 100%. From Trousseau and Bahamut, it's going to go up to 160%. Now, with the +15 magic attack, that goes from 160% to 175%. That is not an increase of 15%. It's probably something like 10 point something percent or something. It's less than, it's more than 7.5, but less than 15% overall increase. That's what going from 160 to 175 is going to do. Now, if you look at the other skill, Tenebral Rose, that is going to go from 200% as base, which is what we assumed. It's going to go up to 260 from Trousseau and Bahamut, and then from 260 to 275. I think that's close to like a 6% increase in damage or something like that. So basically, the higher damage you put on them, like, you put better espers, you put better vision cards that increase the modifier of these skills, the worse the +15 magic attacks effect is going to be. Now, let's assume, for example, I have somebody that's holding this card, Diablos. Now that's going to increase again by another 35, right? That's going to increase the modifier by another 35. So again, that's going to dilute the +15 magic attacks overall effect, the more modifiers that you put on this. So now I'm going to go into an actual example and talk about what the difference is when between two different rods. So I had this and I had trousseau. Where's trousseau? Here. Okay, so Yuna actually benefits even more from the from her staff because it gives plus 20 light attack and a plus 15 magic attack. So that's a 35 modifier that she gets. Now I'm fighting against Mont, who has a bit of magic resistance. He has quite a bit of magic resistance, actually. He has 45% magic resistance. Let's take a look to see where the damage lies with both staffs. So I'm going to go to good idea because it's just the easiest scene for me to do these damage calculations. Just gonna take a second to load there. Okay, so I'm going to use her limit burst skill. I believe it actually has a modifier of 200%, but let's make sure. So she does 2,171 damage with her staff that gives her additional 35% magic attack. Now we're going to see what the damage is with the Cypress pile. And after I look at the damage, I'm going to actually explain the numbers a little bit more, like how much Cypress pile reduces magic resistance and so on. So now I'm going to change from that to Cypress pile and embark again. So remember, it did 2,171 damage before with the plus 35 magic attack. So now with the Cypress pile, it does 2,274. So the Cypress pile reduces magic resistance by 20%. Mont currently has 45% magic resist, so this means 20% of that is 9%. So the Cypress pile is reducing magic resist by 9%, and that already does a lot more, well, not a lot more, but it does more damage, right? It does like 100 damage, which isn't like insane, but it's more damage regardless than a plus 35 magic attack. With other units, like I can do the same test with Helena as well, but I mean, I hope you can kind of see the difference is going to be even larger, because with Helena you only get a plus 15 magic attack, not a plus 35 magic attack. So basically this 9% reduction in magic resist does more damage than a plus 35 magic attack. A plus 35 magic attack is basically like adding another trousseau, but this reduction of magic resist is even more powerful, right? And if you guys remember, I did a similar exercise before where I was looking at Rosa, because Rosa has a minus 38% ice resist skill, and how she does more damage with worse setup than Frederica did. And that is again because like these modifiers that decrease resistance, these are a lot more powerful than I think a lot of people give credit for. So that's why they do more damage, because these are like pretty much overall modifiers. The plus 35 magic attack or plus 15 magic attack, that just increases the modifier by an additional percent, and that is very rarely, plus 15 or plus 35 direct attack. It's usually like plus 5% or something if you have a damage oriented build. Whereas reducing magic resist, that is usually a fairly huge percent. Like in this case, it is overall increasing the damage by 9%, which is pretty huge, right? A lot more than increasing damage by like 5-6% from a plus 15 magic attack or something. But now you might look at this and say, hey, you know what? I'm not really expecting to fight people that have 45% magic resist. I don't think people are going to be using both the Fenrir Esper and the Fenrir Vision card like I have in this setup. And that's fine. I've done some tests before, and obviously, as you can tell, I mean, this is going to be different depending on what you have equipped. Like, for example, if I decide that I have, I don't know, suppose I built Yuna to be very tanky, and I give her the Siren Esper, and I give her something like Ramu. So now she doesn't really have any other modifiers, right? So in this case, probably that plus 15 or well plus 35 magic attack is probably going to be a lot more significant than the 20% magic resist piercing. But I'm assuming in most cases with mages, we probably want them to do high damage. So I'm going to assume that people most likely would want to have a mage set up with like the maximum damage that they can do. So I'm going to assume that we have Bahamut there and we have Trousseau. And in my Bahamut, I only took the Man-Eater nodes. I did not take the magic attack nodes, but I'm going to assume again that the magic attack nodes are probably going to be the most popular build. So it's going to be a plus 15 magic attack and plus 25 Man-Eater, which gives us 40 which gives us 40 magic attack in total. Basically, Man-Eater is the same as magic attack as long as you're attacking other humans, which is mostly what we see in PvP except for 2B and 9S. But in general, that basically counts as like a plus 40 magic attack. And this one gives plus 35 magic attack, so overall that's plus 75 magic attack. So based on some calculations that I've done, whenever an opponent has more than 25 magic resist, with this setup where you're using Trousseau and you're using Bahamut with 40 magic attack modifier, whenever the opponent has 25 or more magic resistance, the Cypress pile will do more damage than the Platinum Rod or the Magistral Rod. I did not do it specifically for this one because this gives you, this most of the time is probably going to be better because it gives you plus 35 magic attack and not just plus 15. But for the Platinum Rod and the Magistral Rod, which only gives you plus 15 modifiers, the Cypress pile is better as long as you have a damage-oriented build, which is Bahamut plus Trousseau, and the opponent has 25 or higher magic resistance, which I think is fairly common. If I look at the builds that I'm using, for example, in Guild War, my Black Rose Helena has 100% magic resistance because I have the Spellblade skill, which gives 38 magic resistance, and I've already pumped up her magic resistance to 67, which gives you basically 100% magic resistance. I'm using the exact same build in Arena as well, so I expect other people would do similar builds as well. I mean, there's a lot of people using Black Rose Helenas, a lot of people using Reigns, a lot of people using Yunas, so I'm expecting people to be using magic resistance. And again, as I said, if it's above 25% and you're using a damage-oriented build, a Cypress pile does more damage from calculations and examples that I've done before. But even if you are, say you're like, maybe this is a phase, maybe magic resistance is not going to be a thing, or maybe you're like, I'm probably not going to be doing PvP or Guild Wars or something anyway, so it doesn't really matter, I just want straight damage. And sure, maybe that could be what you're thinking. I still think it is important to build a Cypress pile because if you look at content like if you look at content like the Tower, we get these stages where monsters are basically not immune, but have high resistances to everything except for like one specific type or something. Like say you have monsters that are resistant to everything except piercing damage or something. But you have a team where most of your units are like, magic users. They are like staff wielders and they do magic damage or something. So you would want to be able to get as much magic as you can, right? Because if that's what you've built, those are the things that you're more comfortable. Like say you have I don't know, like light units, but say you have like light staff users, but the stage is asking for light slash users, and you just don't have any light slash units built up. Well, now at least you can ignore 20% of their magic resistance and have your light magic damage dealers do more damage. And same thing with raids as well. Raids often have high resistances as well for the type that is for basically most types except for like one or two where they have weaknesses or something. So maybe if you want to use a magic oriented team, having Cypress pile is probably a good idea, and it'll probably help you in those raids. So personally, as I said, like I've not really even built a Platinum Rod or a Magistral Rod, but I'm very likely to build a second Cypress pile because I really think it's like a very good weapon. I really like these things that penetrate resistances, and if we have a similar one for like like a sword that reduces slash resistance, or a spear that reduces piercing resistance, I would very likely build at least one, if not two of those, if weapons like that get released, because I think that those are um, like I think in most cases they will do high damage, more damage than something that gives you plus 15 damage modifier. So I would very highly recommend that everyone builds at least one of these Cypress piles. If you guys have more questions about how the damage calculation works, or if you aren't sure and you want more clarification, please leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to address it and answer whatever questions you guys might have. Anyway, that's it from me for now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.